Hey everyone, and welcome. So if you're running a dev lab, you know the deal. You're juggling a ton of different projects, multiple users, partners. It's constant chaos. But have you ever really stopped to think about what's going on at the network level? Today, we're going to dig into something super important, the security of that environment. And we're going to ask the question, is that super convenient setup you have actually a ticking time bomb? So let's just kick things off with the big one, right? I want you to really think about this for a second. Is your development environment truly secure? And I don't just mean, oh yeah, we've got passwords. I mean, is it secure from the ground up, at its very foundation? Honestly, it's a question that keeps a lot of us up at night, and you know what? It should. All right, so to figure this out, let's start by looking at what most people do. We're going to walk through the classic, common sense way that almost every development lab gets put together. I have a feeling this is going to look pretty familiar to a lot of you. It all starts out simple enough, right? First, you get a server. Maybe it's a physical box sitting in a rack somewhere, or maybe it's a beefy instance in the cloud. Then you slap a hypervisor on it. Now, step 3, this is the one to watch. You create a single flat network bridge, because it's easy. And then you just start spinning up your virtual machines. VMs for Project A, Project B, that secret new Project C, they all get plugged into that exact same bridge. And finally, you give your remote users and partners VPN access so they can get to their stuff. It's quick, it's easy, and it works. But there's a huge catch. And here's what you end up with. You've got everything and everyone, all your different separate projects, your internal team, your outside partners, all sharing one big, open, flat network. It's like one giant room where everyone can see everyone else. And while that sounds simple, in the world of network security, that kind of simplicity, well, it can hide some really big dangers. So what is that danger exactly? Let's peel back the curtain and see how this super common setup creates a massive, and I mean massive, hidden security hole that a lot of teams just have no idea is even there. The danger actually has a name. It's called VM hopping. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Because everything is on that one flat network. There is absolutely nothing stopping a user, or hey, even a compromised virtual machine from Project A from just looking around and seeing all the machines in Project B. They can literally hop over the fence from their project to someone else's, completely ignoring any separation you thought you had. You know, here's a great way to think about it. Imagine your lab is a big apartment building. When you give a partner VPN access, you're giving them a key to their apartment, their project's VM. But because you're using a flat network, what you've actually done is given them a master key that can unlock every single apartment in the entire building. It's a level of trust you never, ever intended to give. And look, this isn't just some theoretical what-if scenario. This kind of setup is an automatic red flag failure from major security compliance frameworks. We're talking about the big ones, international standards like ISO 27001, federal rules like NIST, and incredibly strict guidelines for industries like finance and automotive. So the bottom line is this: if your business needs to meet any of these standards, a flat lab network is pretty much a non-starter. Okay, enough doom and gloom about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. How do we actually build a lab environment that's designed for security right from the get-go? What does that look like? Well, the first step is exactly the same. You get a server, you install a hypervisor. But here is the absolute game changer. Instead of one flat bridge for everybody, you create multiple, completely isolated network bridges. And then you protect each of those bridges with its own firewall rules. Now, when you create your VMs, Project A goes on its own private bridge. Project B goes on a totally separate one. They are in their own little bubbles. They can't even see each other exist. It all boils down to one simple, powerful idea: isolation. Let's just put these two side by side for a second, because the difference is, well, it's night and day. The typical setup gives you that flat network where every VM is visible, which means a high risk of a breach and, you guessed it, failing compliance. The secure setup, on the other hand, uses isolated networks. It silos your projects, which massively lowers your risk and puts you in a position to actually meet those critical compliance standards. So this begs the question, right? If the secure design is so obviously better, why isn't everyone just doing it this way? Well, as it turns out, trying to build this perfect secure setup by hand, it opens up a whole new can of worms. Let me tell you, trying to do this manually is an absolute nightmare. You need to be an expert in hypervisor networking, L2 and L3 protocols, and writing complex firewall rules. The VPN server setup alone is incredibly tricky to get right. And then you have the costs. Not just money, but hours and hours of design, documentation, and painful testing. And after all of that, one single typo in a config file can bring the whole thing crashing down or, even worse, silently create a brand new security hole. Oh, and don't even get me started on the soul-crushing headache of managing VPN keys for every single user by hand. So this manual complexity, this pain, it's exactly why so many development labs stay insecure. It's just too hard, it's too slow, and it's way too risky to do by hand. But what if there was a way to get all of that security without all of the manual pain? This is where automation really becomes your best friend. There are tools out there, for example, one called Zelogx MSL Setup, that are built to solve this exact problem. So what is it really? Well, it's a tool that basically automates that entire secure setup we just designed. It handles creating all those isolated networks, it configures the firewalls for you, it sets up all the VPN access, and it puts every project's VMs into their own secure little silo, all on a single host. Basically, it does all that complicated, painful, and risky work for you. And now for the best part. The whole process, building that complex, secure, multi-project environment from scratch, takes about 10 to 20 minutes. Just think about that. Compare 10 minutes to the days or even weeks of manual configuration, testing, and troubleshooting. The difference is just staggering. So we're going to end right back where we started with a question for you. We know that one simple mistake, a single typo in one line of a config file, can compromise your entire development environment. Knowing that, and knowing that there are automated ways to get it right every time, is doing it all by hand really worth the risk? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining me.